Hey, what's going on YouTube? Brian here with Blackburn in Tech. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and click that like, subscribe. It definitely helps the channel, and it helps YouTube make more content for viewers like you, and it's free to do, so why not do so? Alright, so enough of that. So one of the areas that most people want when they pay for a firewall is they want the ability to be able to VPN in, right? You want to be able to get into your work network from, maybe you're at the coffee shop, maybe you're out and about, maybe you're on your cell phone and you need to access a computer on the network or something. You need to access something internally. So how do we do that? Basically, we create a tunnel, a virtual tunnel, and anything that goes through that tunnel can go back either to your work, or we can do what's known as a split tunnel, where it basically says, anything for your work network, yeah, we're going to take it through this tunnel. Everything else is going to go through your normal internet. We don't care. Most common is to do that split tunnel, because if you do a full tunnel, you end up forwarding everybody's traffic and everything to your firewall, which if you only have one person on a small network, not very big deal. But imagine you have 1,000 people VPN in, and they're streaming music, they're watching YouTube, they're doing everything, and all of that traffic. That's going to get kind of heavy. So normally you just want them to have just the resources they need, kind of thing. But it comes down to who's requesting it and what resources you have. So let's go ahead and jump in over on the firewall and take a look on how to get this set up. All right, so over here on the firewall, let's go ahead and log in. All right, so from here, we're going to go ahead and set up what is known as an SSLVPN user, or as a SSLVPN. And later on, we'll jump into what is known as an IPsec VPN, but let's go ahead and start with this one. So let's go over here to VPN, and you'll see a couple different settings here: the portal, the settings, the clients. Mainly we're focusing on these two. So we're going to just start on this thing called portal. So by default, you already have a full access one here, and we can go ahead and edit this and just take a look and see what it's doing. So we're saying that we're enabling split tunnel. So basically, we're going to have our users, anything that's coming in from this source address, this SSL VPN one that it has created for us, we're going to route that traffic differently. If this was disabled, then that means that all traffic, regardless of where it's going, is going to be going to your firewall. So typically you'll want to have that set like that, or if you have a separate subnet you'd prefer for it. Tunnel mode options, you can allow, this is on the server side, you get to control this. Do I want them to be able to save their password? Do I want them to have a different DNS server? So allow clients to keep the connection alive. So maybe I do want that, where if they're not really busy, I still want them to stay connected, kind of thing. Host checks. Here's, do I want to see if they have antivirus firewall rules, firewalls turned on? Enable both, for example. You can do this. I've seen where this can also cause issues, especially if you're on multiple platforms, like a Windows and a Linux box. Sometimes it kind of struggles with that one, but it can work. And then you can, like I said, you can also restrict down to different operating systems. As you can see, they are a Windows and Apple based system. So maybe Windows 7 we don't want now, because yeah, Windows 7's not good, so we're just going to deny Windows 7, for example. But yeah, if you're on 8, 1, 10, yeah. So you can make these adjustments as you want. Down here, enable web mode. So this is, do they have a web portal they can log into? Portal message, maybe this is your sales group or whatever. You can have it set up. You can create different bookmarks. So quick, convenient ways for them to access stuff. Maybe you have an intranet, you want it to already be there so they can easily get to it. That's definitely one option. I'm not going to mess with that one. And then down here, enable FortiClient download. That's the most common way. Just leave that one checked. It's so that if they don't already have FortiClient, they can just download it. So I'm gonna click OK on that. So under VPN settings, here's where we need to specify the interface or interfaces that we want it to be on. So I want it to be on my WAN interface. If you have more than one WAN, you'll want it to be here, so that way it knows that it can. 443 conflicts with my management port, but maybe I want to be 4433. So anybody coming in on 172.16.5.7 on 4433 will see this, or will be able to connect. So typically we don't have this one set up. You can redirect HTTP to your VPN portal. It just makes them a little more convenient for some of your users. Restrict access, maybe you want to limit access to specific hosts. So if you know what people's public IP addresses are, say if they're coming from a known public IP addresses, you can allow it. That's realistically, it's kind of hard to do, especially because like a lot of home users are on a VPN or on a dynamic, a DHCP address, so that can change. It's definitely not the most user-friendly. Idle timeout, this is what we were talking about. If you're not busy or you're not sending traffic, it's just going to kick you off then. And then what cert do we want it to use? We're going to say just use this factory one right now. But if you had your own certificate, you could apply it here. This is where you would check that. Require certificate on the computer. So maybe we already do have like a Microsoft Active Directory environment, and we already have our own certificate authorities. In order for it to connect in, it has to have a certificate for it to hand the firewall. That's what this little box is for here. What address range do we want? Maybe we had something already assigned. Maybe this overlaps with something we have internally, so we're not going to use that, but we can use this one because it doesn't bother it. But maybe if you do need to specify a custom range, you can do that here. DNS servers, so like I said, if you have like an internal DNS, that's where you would want this one to be specified. You would want your internal DNS servers, or if you're running any Wins servers, you would want it there. Now, authentication and portal mapping. So this one's gets a little confusing. So you can have it set up for different groups, and the different groups you can have it go to different users. So like maybe you have a group for your sales team, they have access to stuff, or you have a group for your IT guys, they can go to other stuff. Sometimes you just need one account or one portal for everybody, kind of thing. Or that's what the most common is. You just have that one portal down there. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that setting. We're just going to set up this one, but no, you can create different ones. Okay, so you can see where it says not set. So all other users and groups. So if we already had a group up here, we can come up here and click group. I don't have another group, but I can create one real quick. So I'm going to call this my VPN users group. So VPN. So if you are part of this VPN users group, you're going to get mapped to this full access policy. That's the one that we already have. And I'm going to click apply. Okay, proceed to the default portal. All other users groups authenticated. Okay, so we have to specify this all other users. So if you don't match, what do you have access to? We can have one that just says no access, but we have to have that set. I'm going to say full access here as well, because you have to have it saved. But typically, if you're going to restrict it down via groups like that, you'll want to make sure that like your full access, or that all other users, just make sure you create one that says no access to anything, or it's a black hole kind of one, and that's where you would save that at. So over here, how do we know that this is working? We can go ahead and open this in a new tab, and that will let us see if it's working. Right, I'm expecting this to fail because we don't have a firewall rule allowing anything right now. So let's go ahead and create an account for Bob and let Bob have access to this. So user definitions. We have a guest user, so we're going to go ahead and create a new local user. Next, Bob. We're not going to turn him on MFA, and we're going to put him in that group just to make it easy on us. my VPN users. So Bob is part of my VPN users. So now we've done the networking side of setting this part up, but we now have to do the firewall side of it, because there's no rules saying anybody can do anything with this. So we're going to explicitly say from our VPN users group that they're allowed to do something now. So firewall policies. Click that, and you'll see where we have this SSLVPN tunnel interface. So from there, I want to allow into my LAN network. So, and we can specify from, if you're coming from my SSLVPN group users, notice on how it says groups is or required. The reason why it says that is because maybe, like I said, where we had our SSLVPN users, we need to specify what group they're part of. So, and then I'm going to just allow them to the network. Do I have an address object for the network? So I do not. I'm just going to say all internal. All. So I like to name mine SSLVPN to LAN. And this is denied because ultimately we have this in a split tunnel, so I didn't say where it's allowed to go. And so I said, yeah, just anything, right? But if it's in a split tunnel, how does it know what's part of your network or what's not part of your network? So it might be an extra step to specify that yes to your LAN network, but it makes it easier and less overhead. So jumping back over here, let's go ahead and change this. For the destination, we can't use all, so we're going to say no, thank you. And I don't have one already, so we'll create an address object called LAN network. And my LAN network is 192.168.1.0/24. And just so I know that it's a friendly one, we're going to put it as a green object. The green object's completely optional, in case you're wondering. And now it let me save it. So, that being said, I don't know if you've seen that while I was refreshing. My connection's not private because I am using a firewall cert that the computer doesn't recognize. So if we click on this, we can see, okay, well, we're at the user portal, right? So we now have a rule allowing this to work. So if Mr. Bob decides he wants to log in, Bob can log into that portal, and this is what the user portal looks like, where that said that web area on the firewall management. So if we come back over here to our VPN and portals, let me edit this. So down here where we specify the web portal down here, this is why it says this here. This is why it shows all of this, because we have it turned on. So either Bob can download that Forti client in order to make this work, and as you can see, he can download the client for his choice operating system. He can launch it if he already has it installed, or he can do it like a quick connection. So maybe he just needs to see if he can ping something. Or maybe we have like I said, an internal web server here, file share, remote desktop. This is not really the best way to do this. I would recommend people to use the actual client, but maybe if you do need to do something, just to test something, host, maybe 192.168.1.99 was the firewall, I think. Can I ping this? Destination host is reachable. So maybe I was just checking to see, hey, is this computer still on? I can do that. So I'm coming from outside the network. So if we're looking up here, we're at the 172 address. This is coming from my WAN side. So my WAN side is on that 172.16.5. So I'm coming from behind, from out on the internet somewhere, coming in to this firewall. And then because I logged into this user portal, I can now have access to stuff behind the firewall. And then from here, like I said, you can do the quick connections. Your users can create their own bookmarks, or you can create it for them if you'd like. And then just come up here to Bob, and click log out. So it's just that easy to set up an SSL VPN, a portal for your users to log in and get on the VPN. And as you've seen, it really wasn't that much difficult. It was, you had to make sure that you wanted your split tunnel, and you had to go down into the other section and say what interface you wanted to make sure it wasn't overlapping with anything else. And you had to create a firewall rule to allow that traffic internal to come in, because ultimately there was no rule saying that it's allowed in on the WAN, so it's blocked basically. And part of the, remember that implicit deny rule that's there, that if there's not a rule hitting it, it's going to get told no, it's not allowed. So now we created a rule saying it was able to get into the internal network, and it was just that easy. Well, I hope this has been informative for you. Thank you for watching, and like I said, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and click that like, subscribe. It does help me. It helps the channel overall and helps YouTube. And like I said, it's free, so just a quick click. I'm not even saying you had to hit the bell so you get annoyed by all the emails. Thank you. Have a good day.